guess we can get started. You have to read this entire text before we get going. So there will be a quiz at the end for this and this only. And complete your surveys. All right. So welcome. We're going to talk Cigna's journey with Delta sharing. And I'll be going first. So you can call me Lightning and you can call Nick Thunder. For today only. We don't want to hear that going in tomorrow. But no, I'm Jay Aylen. I'm a Senior Director of Architecture at Evernorth Health Services as part of the Cigna group. I'll explain that a little bit later. And with me on stage is Nick DeYoung. He's a Senior Architect also at Evernorth Health Services, and he focuses on our cross-line of business Databricks platform. So I want to quickly level set. Today isn't just a session about how we enable Delta sharing or data sharing in general. It's not about how we minimize data movement or even how we cut costs through streamlining operations. It's about removing barriers from our data strategy and how we're building a modern, open data sharing network or framework rather, that enables real-time, cross-organizational, secure data collaboration in a highly regulated industry. And this capability allows Cigna to get new contracts that it previously wouldn't have been able to get. And it's already resulting in millions of dollars in additional revenue. And what we'll cover isn't just a technical solution, it's a business growth engine and a competitive advantage for our organization. Our vision aims to empower both internal and external stakeholders alike with trusted, fast, and governed data across multiple platforms at the right time. This vision ultimately gives the business the speed and adaptability they need to meet their existing business commitments and also to expand into new markets. So how are we going to do that? So we are going to talk about data sharing challenges in general. We're going to talk about it in the context of health services and large organizations, some of those pain points. And then we'll look at what Delta sharing solves for, especially in the context of our last mile sharing use case, which Nick is going to cover. And then we'll get into our strategic differentiators, not only from a technical perspective, but also from a business perspective. And then we're going to look ahead in my crystal ball at what's next as far as Delta sharing capabilities that we might want to take advantage of or how our strategy is going to evolve. So hopefully you guys like the animations. We all know sharing isn't easy, and sharing data at scale in healthcare or health services is no exception to that. We want the highest quality data delivered quickly, but that's incredibly difficult in a large organization that's highly regulated and serves many different personas. So our organization has significant complexity as well. I'll try to explain that, but it's a little more challenging. The Cigna Group is a global health services organization, and it's made up of two primary divisions. In blue, you've got Cigna Healthcare, and you can think of the health plan, and that's dental, vision, medical. And then in green, that is Evernorth Health Services. I got on my green right now, but that is pharmacy benefit services, and Evacor, and so on, and much more underneath those. So those are the line of businesses, and they act as separate data tenants. And so that makes it challenging for us because we always have to logically separate those, and then even sometimes we're having to physically separate those. We aggregate and generate massive volumes of data each and every day across many systems and many lines of businesses, serving employers and government entities, and then also other health plans, surprisingly enough. And then, each integration uses different technologies, protocols, and formats, and often that results in multiple sources of truth. And so that's what that gray arrow around the circle is meant to represent, is that our trading partners are actually sharing data with each other, and this results in duplicate data and makes it very challenging for us, especially as we aggregate that. That forces us to do extensive cleansing and make sure that that data is fit for curation and for eventual publishing. The data must remain secure and compliant with regulatory and our contractual requirements while still allowing us to seize market opportunities. It's a very competitive landscape, as you can imagine, and for a large organization like Cigna, this complexity can compound very quickly, not only from a technical perspective, but also organizationally. At the heart of this complexity are legacy data silos. And we could easily spend an entire session just on this topic. These silos isolate information, whether by data provider or data source or data team or data pipeline, or even the data access model itself. And this simplified view is showing us the different types of data silos. So that's in that blackish grayish color at the top. And then the corresponding process gates are tied to that and highlighted in orange there. And these ultimately add additional delivery time. Traditionally, we would set up a custom pipeline, a data pipeline, and it would look maybe something like this. We would have to, and it might be per trading partner, so we might have multiple variations of that. And we would transfer that data either on a nightly basis, more likely a nightly basis, but it could be hourly or whatever frequency. And we might do that via S3 or cloud storage or SFTP or APIs, or even in some worst case, well, not worst case, but if the use case that's streaming. This approach leads to duplicate ETL jobs. It leads to duplicate published data or for purpose data, and it's high maintenance, and ultimately it's delayed delivery. For my colleagues from large enterprises, I think you feel my pain with the number of systems, technologies, and governance checkpoints. It's difficult, and even for the most seasoned teams, this can take months. Oh yeah, well, I'm jumping ahead. Don't pay attention to that. Our broader data strategy with Databricks as a core platform has matured significantly. We're now organizing data across multiple lines of businesses as governed data products. It's improving data quality, governance, and composability, which has helped us break down many of those legacy silos that we were just talking about. However, there's still that last mile that has been fairly painful for us, and that's that exporting and distributing data to partners. And as we can see in the diagram, that final step can create new copies for every partner, inflating storage costs, increasing governance and complexity, and introducing delays for us and our sharing partners. But with Delta sharing, we overcome these last mile challenges and we streamline operations like never before. So I'm gonna turn it over to Nick to talk about our last mile sharing use case and how Delta sharing is modernizing our approach.
Thank you, Jay. That was a really good introduction. It's like Databricks made us practice this over and over and over again until it was good. To summarize and narrate what you just said, so sharing data is not a new idea, right? It's happening right now, but it's hard. And there's drawbacks depending on how you implement it. We know this, you know this, and Cigna's leadership knows this. So what do you do when leadership asks for a comprehensive, complete, customizable, last mile data sharing platform that can deliver data sets like any other? You do what any employee would do. You stare them straight in the face and you say, sure, no problem. I'll get right on that. You want it yesterday? Okay. Jokes aside, in all seriousness, that's what we're doing at Cigna, and it's working. Every time I talk about Delta Lakes, it always comes back to three main ideas. Taking data from outside of your platform and ingesting it into Databricks. Transforming that data through layers of quality and control, combining it with other data sets, and then publishing information for purpose or for specific use cases. Current sharing patterns right now require us to take that published information and copy it to outbound data locations in order to share data and deliver it to customers, introducing cost. Likewise, current sharing patterns require teams to coordinate with centralized, hyper-technical teams that manage data pipelines to deliver files through like SFTP, like Jay said, to NAS drives, or through Kafka for streaming-based data out patterns. Also, current sharing patterns also require coordinations with our external organizations in order to make sure that access is in place for read and writing to their network, introducing cost. With Delta sharing, ingestion into the data platform is the same. Transforming that data, adding quality and controls, and combining it with data is the same. And publishing your information for purposes and for use cases is the same. What we don't have to do is copy data out to an outbound location in order to share it anymore. You don't need to go through a lengthy request and build cycle to build a pipeline that is riddled with problems in order to share data. And with Delta sharing, teams can control what they want to share and with who they want to share it with. So in case you missed it, we decide who we want to share with, what we want to share, and we share it. And Jay thinks it smells really good. But in reality, it's a little more complicated than that, right? So one principle I try to ensure happens, or I try to influence with our organization, is nothing changes in prod unless it's done through code. And another follow-up principle that I try to do is automate everything so that we can self-serve for our teams. So we're integrating this process of Delta sharing into our ecosystem, ensuring that it works with our data governance process and our metadata so that the proper approvals happen beforehand and the proper grants exist. And then the rest is automation, audit trails, and awesomeness. So I've seen data pipelines take between 10 weeks to 10 months while I've been at Cigna to implement and complete. Data sharing takes days to approve and then implement. I've seen data pipelines take from $20,000 to $250,000 to build and maintain in the past years. Delta shares are near zero cost in order to implement them and get them approved after the automation is built. And it's hard to look past the risk and the dependencies of old pipelines when you can have Delta sharing, give control back to the producing teams, and decide what they want to share. And these three features of Delta sharing align with Cigna's strategy of building a low-cost, high-speed-to-market data platform that can enable our stakeholders and our customers. And Jay's going to talk more about that.
Thanks, Nick.
Sure.
And as Nick covered in detail, Delta sharing powers our modern open data sharing framework. And so let's take a look at some of these strategic technical enablers here first. As far as simplicity, it has simplified our model, and a modern bi-directional data delivery reduces operational overhead and is improving our turnaround times. And it has made us more efficient with a fast, secure, and scalable solution. Once we publish, secure data is made available immediately, zero copying of published data for each of our data partners. And then leveraging our write, audit, and publish pattern, or WAP pattern, it allows us to validate data prior to partner access. So this is reducing errors. This is essential for any organization that needs to ensure the highest quality standards and security. It empowers our teams. Decentralized data sharing model allows teams to publish data through approved, streamlined processes and reduces the time spent going through red tape or those process gates that we were talking about before. And it's more flexible. Multi-platform support enables interoperability across our partner ecosystems. Whoop, jumping ahead. And then the technical enablers, the technical enablers are supporting our business objectives, and they are catalysts for us in meeting our business goals, like speed to market. We want to deliver quickly without compromising values. Timely delivery is essential to serving our customers effectively while maintaining our high standards. And then strengthen our client relationships and keep our business promises. Reliable, predictable delivery builds trust and fortifies client relationships. And it's adaptable. We want to meet clients where they are. Every client has different technology needs, and we support Delta sharing with Databricks and non-Databricks clients alike. We even support Snowflake sharing where a client needs that. And it allows us to expand the business so we can monetize data and unlock new business opportunities. By securely integrating data across subsidiaries and publishing with speed and adaptability, we've created new client offerings by sharing comprehensive data sets with minimal effort, which is already generating millions of dollars in new revenue. But our journey isn't complete. So this is crystal ball. We're exploring new Delta sharing capabilities, and we're looking how we can continually evolve our open data sharing model. So I'll highlight a couple of things on this slide. The OIDC token federation. This will allow us to accept other identity provider tokens and give greater flexibility and adaptability to our clients. And then Lakehouse Federation sharing is another one we're looking at, which should allow us to share published data directly from other data platforms without duplicating the data or without moving it. And then as far as next steps for Cigna, expanding our data sharing use cases. It's important to remember that we are a very large organization with a ton of data sharing use cases. And so we're only scratching the surface on what's possible for us to go after from an opportunity standpoint. And then that WAP pattern, or write, audit, publish, say that 10 times fast. It is somewhat automated today. We'd like to further automate it and hopefully reduce processing times and increase stability. And we do see other enablers for our strategy like open table formats and semantic layers and data virtualization. And that should minimize data movement while maximizing accessibility, which is increasingly making data gravity irrelevant. And to recap, adopting Delta sharing has allowed us to simplify our data sharing model, and which has helped us overcome some of these complex industry and organizational challenges. And it's dramatically improved our time to market, which has opened up entirely new revenue opportunities. And then it's reduced our costs while still enabling secure, real-time collaboration, which is good that we're reducing costs because I'm pretty sure we're going to owe The Rock some royalties after this presentation due to Nick. And this aligns well with our vision to efficiently empower our stakeholders across the ecosystem, across our ecosystem, with the right data at the right time in the right format. If you are using traditional sharing methods, then I think you should ask yourself, why not Delta sharing? Because you are likely facing similar constraints, and you should consider how Delta sharing could potentially streamline your organizational data sharing model. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank a few folks. We'd like to thank Srini Sanhari, which I think is at the front here, Seth Kelly, and then our business partners, our Databricks account team, especially Nitin Agarwal, who's been a great partner and sounding board for this presentation. So on behalf of Nick and I, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll stick around for questions. Thank you.